Guys, we're just gonna go ahead and jump into this. There are a lot of questions you guys asked me, so the easiest way to find my work is going to be on Instagram, because that's just where a lot of it is. It's the largest collection of basically almost all of it, at least within the last decade's work. Malaga Photography, along with Mrlboyd on Instagram. They're both in the description on basically all of my videos, so it was actually pretty easy. I grew up watching kind of kids movies because I was a kid, right? Within my household, there wasn't really a way to watch, like PG-13 or like rated R movies. That was just not something that was allowed in the household. Too much cursing, nudity, things like that. All of these things attributed to movies that I was just not able to see. And by the time I kind of was of age, there was really no point for me to. I was moving around too much. I never could really sit down long enough to watch a movie. Been a commercial photographer for the last 20 years. That basically was my life. I didn't exist in the realm of specifically watching movies. The journey on YouTube absolutely has been interesting. It has taken me on basically completely out of photography. It's been fun, it has its moments. I mean, I like meeting you guys on the street when I do see you guys. It's cool in general. It's fun. I just honestly never expected for it to grow the way it did, but I enjoy it. Absolutely, I enjoy it. I love being able to like react to topics and conversations and just overall expand the mind of me along with other people, guys. It's just the best thing in the world is educating people, guys. Generally, at least, right? Growing up in New York just felt like it felt normal. Everyone else's life growing up felt different. I mean, you have a lot of independence from like a young age. That's cool compared to other places in the United States of America at that age, basically. So like age for age, your experience growing up is just going to be massively different than someone else from, let's say, the Midwest at your very specific age. Growing up in New York, fun. I love the concept of like bodegas. I kind of miss bodegas, like small like convenience stores that are generally, they lean towards whichever culture is actually owning it, right? I think that in itself gave me the push to want to know about the rest of the world and other things, because growing up super young, going into a random bodega from, I don't know, the owner was probably from like Belize, right? And you go in there and then they have food there, right? So you go and eat their food for the day, right? Then the next day you go to a Puerto Rican bodega and the same thing, eating some Puerto Rican food the next day. So like New York in itself was good for telling me that whatever we're in, there's more. If that makes any sense, guys, right? And that's what I think pushed me to want to know more about the world, just being from New York. I'm originally from South Buffalo, so I gotta represent New York. That's Canada, but I respect it either way. Buffalo's cool though, guys. It's cold. It's really cold in the wintertime, guys. It still is Canada though, but it's cool. You have a serious Philly bias. I don't think anyone is on my top from Philly. No offense. I mean, listen, I love Beanie Siegel. Beanie Siegel is absolutely an amazing artist. I just don't think I can like put him directly in my number one, or like Freeway. You get what I'm saying here? Freeway and Beanie Siegel did their thing in like the early 2000s. Absolutely, right? But I cannot put either of these artists, right, in my top, right? But let's get to it. I love how you made the question, because honestly, it's a rough one for me, because if you didn't give me that slight caveat, then guess what would have happened? Everyone would have been from New York. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you my top five, in no order, because I cannot order these artists, because it doesn't matter where they change in place. Top five: Nas, Biggie, Eminem, Tupac. Number five, let's say DMX. I like DMX. I like DMX a whole lot. Like I like his whole catalog, right? But I have no idea where he's from. If he's from New York, I apologize, guys, right? And let's say top 5 non-New York. That's gonna be a hard one, bro. That's just gonna be hard, bro. Let's see, Eminem, um, non-New York, bro. Eminem, Scarface. How about this? I'll give Beanie Siegel that because I like his catalog. It's solid. And bro, this is rough. This is crazy. Frank T. He's from Spain. He's a conscious rapper from Spain. He's dope, bro. Akala from the UK. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right, I got it. That's my top 5 Mount Rushmore, not specifically from New York. All right. Biggest changes have been people stopping me in the streets. And that's pretty much the biggest thing that happens. It's just like change, at least. Other than that, there's really not much change. I mean, I'm now, well, I guess there is. No, there is. I'm encountering people from places that I've never been, right? That's always amazing, right? Encountering, stories. I think that's probably the best form of currency that comes from YouTube, is encountering people's stories, right? Easily the most important thing that you can probably encounter on YouTube, guys. As a YouTuber, at least, like in hearing other people's experiences that you'll never be able to experience, or have never experienced, or never will experience, but now you are trading, right? Stories, guys. I love it. Easily the best thing I could tell you from YouTube, guys. If you're watching this on YouTube, then you've never seen that. But I have a nicotine problem, okay? And so when I'm watching these super long videos, I had to get something that could kind of mitigate that so I can actually watch longer content without having to stop and start cutting up the video and things like that. And so that in itself kind of caused me to vape. The vape juice I use this is the vape juice I use. But I probably hit the vape maybe 2 times a day, basically. That's not something that I don't really do it like that. I never knew that there was talent like that coming from the Philippines. And I mean this to the point where it blew my mind the first time I started encountering artists from the Philippines singing the way that they generally do for some reason. Like they breathe in like perfect tone. That's probably the biggest surprise. And even when I introduce other people that are not like, in the YouTube like reaction space to like these type of artists, their mind is blown. They're like, bro, why are they not more famous, type of thing. I can definitely tell you that most likely the Philippines has like per capita the best vocalists that exist. That's probably the biggest surprise. I like a lot of like British rappers too, surprisingly. I guess it's not really surprisingly because I mean they're dope and we're not as much as we used to be, right? So I guess it's pretty easy to kind of take up the slack for, from artists that are just making music off of reference tracks and they're just doing what sells, not what's good. So that's pretty easy to start liking artists that are still rapping in English, but they are dropping bars. That right? Country music is also super surprising to me. I love country music. Listen, we listen to country music in the household nowadays, guys. It is, I'm telling you, country music is probably easily one of the biggest surprises. That and like everything coming from the Philippines. I like Georgia because I have a lot of family that has moved here. So being around family is probably the only reason why I'm in Georgia. Other than that, I wouldn't be in Georgia specifically. Yeah, I'd probably be in like Pittsburgh, even maybe upstate New York. But in terms of Spain, I love Spain. Absolutely. My favorite things about Spain would probably be the air. It's just fresh for some reason. Don't get me wrong, it smells like diesel because all the cars are diesel. And then there's always like a undertone of like the smell of garlic. And if you are in cities, these cities are really old. So don't be surprised if you accidentally get a whiff of some sewage. that happens in some of the bigger cities, right? And it's just because these cities were built in like what, the 1500s. And then they had to basically put all these new sewage devices, right, much later. So the city was not actually built for cars or sewage, like in that way at least, right? How they are now. So that is a thing. It's not offensive, if that makes any sense, and it's not overwhelming. But you could occasionally smell the air one day while walking down an alley and be like, "What is that smell?" Right? That could happen. But either way, I think Spain is my favorite place. I'm going to retire there. There's no doubt here. That's where I'm going to be. The cost of living is great, but obviously it's great because I'm coming from America, right? I mean, there people do struggle. Obviously, the average income is probably going to range between 1,000 and 2,000 euros monthly. The average income of the citizens. Okay, keep that in mind. And that's probably about maybe $2,300 or so, guys, a month. But they're able to live off of that. They're able to go to the beach every single day, eat fresh food every single day, live their lives, right? They're comfortable, some of them, obviously. And that's something that I kind of love about Spain. Not to mention, obviously, the scenery, right? Spain is completely beautiful, guys. And I mean this to like the depths of me, guys. For example, I live in the south of Spain in Malaga, the Malaga region of Spain in Andalusia. There's so much there. There's so much history there. Imagine going outside, right? And basically every, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes you drive, you see a castle or some type of ancient fort. Like if you are a history nerd, Spain is kind of where to be, bro. And I am, in fact, a history nerd. I lose it over seeing all these things. It's like, they're absolutely stunning. Now, what I don't like about Georgia, for example, I bring people from Spain to Georgia, right, occasionally, and they love it. They see it and they're just like, oh, look at all the green and things like that. And it's just like, I get it. It's different. But the same thing that happens in Spain. Because you have people who see all these things all day long, all this natural beauty, and all these castles and things like that, and they're just like, so who cares? It's the same thing. So if you're used to seeing these things, they're not really impressive. And that's just, I think, the problem. I'm used to seeing Georgia. So it has gotten completely irrelevant to me, if that makes any sense. I don't find any real beauty anywhere I go in Georgia. Everything just feels manufactured and new, right? Compared to what we see in Spain. Again, the people come from Spain here, and then they're like, oh, beautiful. So, listen, Georgia is beautiful, but I'm used to it, so I'm bored of it. That's really it. So my only negatives regarding Georgia would just be that and the more recent weather patterns, right? I do not like the weather here. It's too hot. The humidity is crazy. It seems like we're getting like a tornado warning every single week. The electricity is also crazy for some reason. In Spain, the electricity doesn't go out. In Georgia, the electricity goes out all the time. I don't understand this. I cannot grasp this. Also, the cost of healthcare is crazy in the United States. Like, I will not go to the doctor in the United States under any circumstance. Unless if it's an emergency and I have to go, then I'll go. But if I need something done, I'm going to Spain. I'm not doing anything here. I'd gotten a tooth removed in Spain, 50 euros. That's like maybe $52, $54 or so. I got a tooth removed in the United States, $800. Okay, there's a difference. And I would always basically choose Spain or anywhere kind of in Europe over the United States of America in terms of staying there. My taxes are lower in Spain than they are in the United States of America, and we get healthcare paid for by the government, education paid for by the government, and my taxes are lower. Yeah, I'm gonna retire in Spain, bro. I have to. It's not like America. I don't know. Maybe I'm in the wrong place in the United States of America, or maybe I need to, move somewhere else, guys. But I love America for my guns and my Jeeps, right? But I'll trade all of that in a heartbeat to wake up, go to the roof of the building we live in, and just watch the Sierra Nevada mountain range, guys. This kind of goes back into the last question. The best, I'm going to say Spain. And the reason is all of what I just said. The worst, Egypt. Completely. Egypt, I understand they went through a lot of things recently. or semi recently, let's say, right? So that allows them to kind of be extremely cautious with who comes into the country. I understand. And what they bring into the country. I'm a photographer. The only reason why I'm coming to your country is to photograph it. Right? I'm not here for anything other than that, right? So when you get to the so when you get into the country, they're going to search your bags because you're an American, you're not from there, right? They're going to start taking things. Okay, don't worry, you'll get it back. You'll get it back when you leave, right? So the problem is that they take all your camera equipment, or maybe this is just my experience again, guys. They take your drones, they take your camera equipment, they take your walkie-talkies because you're going with multiple people, and you need to make sure that you have the sun in the correct spot. So you need to call someone, you need to talk to your buddy that's with you, and that's taken, that's gone, right? So there are a couple of things that I just generally am just not a fan of Egypt. Egypt absolutely is the worst country I've ever been to. A waste of time, waste of money. It's just a waste. I mean, listen, if you want to go and visually just to say you've been and just to see the pyramids and get robbed basically from the people with the camels, bro, they're going to give you different price than the next person over here. Just be fully aware that the set price is not the set price, bro. The taxis are going to try to rob you. I get it. Everyone is struggling. For that place to be a place where everyone, I guess, it's on their bucket list. Pure robbery, guys. Don't go. Don't waste your time. There are other pyramids. Go visit the Nubian pyramids, but obviously go with security, right? But you can go see other pyramids if you want to see pyramids, bro. Don't bother with the ones in Egypt. Those are done until the area can get fixed, until the culture can get fixed, or whatever it is that's going on over there, guys. When that can get fixed, I'll then suggest Egypt. But until then, worst country on the planet, Egypt, to visit. I'm in a weird camp. I generally don't like manual unless I'm in a studio, right? So, and in the studio, obviously, I'm not going to use any type of manual ISO controls, guys. It just won't happen, right? Because I'm going to be using some type of strobe lights or something, right? Unless you're doing like LED, that could be a thing too. Also, if you are in the studio and you're using like LED RGB lights, right, and you're using that to kind of create color. Then you can probably do manual with auto ISO. You would obviously limit the auto ISO to like, let's say, I don't know, 800 ISO or something in that range, right? So you can still get your shot at your exact shutter speed and aperture without having to actually alter it. And you can do like all types of tricks, like shutter drag tricks and things like that with manual and auto ISO, because it's still going to light the scene how you need it to be while achieving the shot you're looking for, guys, right? But personally, I don't like manual mode. Do I know how to use it? Absolutely, right? But I've missed way too many shots, like on location, using manual. That it's just like, bro, no, we're gonna bypass it. And then keep in mind that I was doing this when the cameras were like 6 megapixels. It's like Nikon D70 era of photography, right? Where you had to get your shot perfect in camera at all times. We're not talking about like one of the Sonys now that, you just take the shot, doesn't matter because it has like 15 stops of overall up and down latitude. It's crazy, right? You're not going to miss your shot now in manual. But back then you'd miss your shot in manual if you really weren't, paying too much attention because of maybe the event or the overall subject you were shooting was just changing so drastically. Now I only use aperture priority, and then I'll use again like a targeted ISO, right? Because these cameras now can handle 32,000, 64,000 ISO, right? So now it doesn't matter so much. Just get the shot. So I'm definitely going to say if you're going to use well, I guess, no, wait a second. I have another scenario. Manual mode, auto ISO, you can definitely use that. That's not bad now that I'm thinking about it, because like if you were on a location and you were looking to get a very specific thing, like fast moving subjects, for example, but the light was kind of altering up and down occasionally, right? What I would do personally is throw it into manual so I can just lock the settings in. Also make sure, not just manual, a perfectly selected Kelvin on your white balance also. Keep that in mind. So a perfectly selected Kelvin on your white balance along with a perfectly selected shutter speed and aperture for the scene you're shooting. And if there is some type of like fluctuation in lighting, then auto ISO maybe up to maybe 4 to 600 just to keep the noise, because I hate noise, guys. I hate it, right? Just to keep that out of the image, right? And then you can just get, obviously you'll be getting the same shot over and over and over again, just with up and down fluctuations with the auto ISO fixing the image back to back to back. That's another way I would use that very specific thing. Other than that, again, I don't like manual. I like aperture priority. Just let me have my shallow depth of field. I don't care the shutter speed as long as it's obviously, above the overall exposure triangle. So as long as it's double whatever the focal range is, I'm fine. If that makes any sense, guys, right? So as long as that's the minimum that's going to set, and generally the AI inside of all the cameras are going to make sure that it's set to that very specific thing. So you're good, right? That's the only way. And I need to stop now because I will keep talking about this. All right, let's go. The problem was the people, right? It wasn't what we were looking at. It wasn't anything really at all. There are a couple of things. There are a couple of things. Let me explain. I kind of am a purist at times if I know the original subject matter, right? So I played the game. I loved the story for what it was. And that person that was being referenced in episode 3, I'm sorry, he was an irrelevant character. We didn't need to see over an hour of irrelevancy because it didn't mean anything to the story. He meant nothing to the story. Well, he did. He helped for a small, part of the story, but he has nothing to do with the story. And that in itself was enough for me to be like, bro, what are we watching? Why are we watching an hour of a relevant character? That disturbed me. Seriously, it was just like, bro, why are we doing this? The overall subject matter, if it was something else, I don't care. It doesn't affect me kind of like either way. At the end of that reaction, I literally said, this character is irrelevant. He doesn't add anything to the story. Literally, he doesn't add anything to the story. There's like zero value to the story that he added. And then apparently a whole segment of people came into the comments and started going absolutely crazy, calling me all types of names and all these other things. And I'm just like, okay, well, we're done here then. That's it. That's why it happened. That's why I didn't do any more of it, because of the response to the video. There were a lot of brand new viewers that looked for something deeper in what I was saying than what I was saying. I have Asperger's. I'm saying what I mean. I'm not saying things just to say things. I'm saying exactly what I mean. He was irrelevant to the story. People were mad because I'm all types of names, right? I don't like this. I don't like this because these are two guys. I don't care that they're two guys. I care about the fact that this has nothing to do with the story. But they took it how they wanted to take it, and I stopped doing it. I don't need my guns. It's safe. Like I feel completely safe. I literally don't need my guns. Like there's never a reason for me to have a gun. Like in the village that I live in, specifically in the mountains, there hasn't been like a serious crime since like the 1970s. There's no crime. So people barely lock their doors. Like I'm sure if you were to walk outside down the street, most of the cars that are parked on the street would probably be unlocked. All right, I'm just gonna let you know there is no crime. It is safe. That's why. Do you have any kind of medical background? Because you seem to know a lot about all types of wounds. No, I have no medical background, but I like reading a lot. My mother's a nurse. She had like a lot of like medical books all around the house, growing up. And I read a lot of them. I don't think she knew that, but I read a lot of them. I've always been like a hardcore gamer. Grand Theft Auto, Fallout, like anything basically from like old school Bethesda. I did not play the new Fallout 76, I think is what it's called. And a lot of racing games. I definitely love racing games. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons though. Yeah, bro, I don't know what it is. Sports are just like the most boring thing in the world to me, bro. I think honestly, if any sport was to kind of like catch me, it would probably be baseball, but that's just basically an East Coast bias thing. I'm sure it's 100% some type of East Coast bias thing. I don't like soccer. I don't like football. I don't like nothing, bro. I did do Greco-Roman wrestling for a pretty long time in my life, though, right? But I don't think that was a sport. I just did it because I liked it, right? It was fun to just like put my strength on display. That was really what it is, bro. There was nothing more than that. It was just fun in that instance. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and break these questions up into a couple of parts here. This will be part one. Hopefully we'll get the next one out to you guys within the next couple of days. All right, catch you guys later.